So Dan, I'll actually probably have you come up here if you're okay. And
okay.
and what I'd like you to do is kind of either explain what you've done through the golf carts, or just even in general, or just even play here in the play site. Just like some of the stuff that you know. If you want to switch, like I loaded in the little CRM homepage. Like you can set this as your default and kind of be like, hey, here's how we play. Let me show you how to do a quick log, and let me show you how I do my follow-ups, and let me show you how I do, like, we're basically, all we've done with customers so far is in line with an invoice, kind of like, oh, he wanted to sell some tennis balls to the clowns. Like, a name and a zip, and that's it. Like, no other settings, no other subcontacts, no other, nothing. So basically kind of just introducing it a little bit, like, hey, I do this and this. And
do the best I can.
Yeah. Yep, awesome. Okay, if you guys are ready, we'll go ahead and get started back on a new section here. What I'm going to do to kind of introduce it, if you will, is just kind of show it from the map. And this might help you, Dan, even to see how we use the map in training. And then I'm actually going to turn some time over to Danny Schufert. And Danny's been from Salida, a long-time guy, and he's a pilot, and plays in bands, and he's quite a people person as well, and so customers are his business. Like, he literally is a good customer relationship person and a salesperson and a bunch of stuff. And so I'm going to turn some time over to him to kind of show some fun things, and we'll add in wherever we need to. Okay. So our goal right now is we're going to kind of talk about customers. So I'm going to get my highlighter out here, and this is our goal. So what's around a customer? Russell, what do you see that's around customers that might be important or tied to customers?
Web and e-commerce.
Okay, cool. And we're going to touch that after we touch on customers, okay? Very good, very good. Okay, what else? Shannon, what's another one that's kind of around customers?
Your logs.
Okay, cool. What is a log? That's an interesting word.
Track all anything you want about your customers.
History.
Or make notes.
It's histories, it's notes, it's follow-ups. It's literally like tons and tons of stuff, okay? And I'll actually show you some small samples, or I'll let Dan show you some samples. What else is around customers? Okay, shopping cart. Guess what? This is how they interact with invoices and quotes. Go through a shopping cart interface so that it actually ends up being to your customer, okay? Okay, what else is around customers? Something that might apply.
Waiting room.
Okay, awesome. Very good, David. The AR waiting room. AR stands for accounts receivable, okay? So this is a time-based thing. If a customer gets an invoice but doesn't fully pay it, guess what happens to that invoice? We temporarily have to hold that value in a thing called accounts receivable, meaning money owed to me, which eventually filters its way up here to the balance sheet as money that's still owed, okay? So that's perfect. That's perfect. How about this guy? Does this look like a possible piece that would connect to customers? What's a statement? Russell.
If somebody wants to know everything that they bought over the last year, you can give them a full statement.
Okay, great, great. So this is almost like an invoice history and or what is still owed. So it kind of does this. It says, what's still owed and what did I buy, and we put it all together and we call it a statement and we tie it to a customer. Okay, piece of cake. It's basically a snapshot in time. The statement itself doesn't actually do any of the accounting. It's just a way to collect your money. Okay, it's just
they haven't paid for 3 months.
Oh yeah.
You've got all these invoices on.
Yep. And it'll start adding it up and say, hey, you had this one, this one, this one. I got full payment here. I got a partial payment here. It looks like you still owe me X, Y, Z. So that's a statement. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, there's one more piece that kind of ties with customers. This might be a trick question, but what might it be?
Elements of time.
Awesome, awesome. Elements of time, scheduling, calendaring, invoicing for time, like it's all potentially tied to customers, okay? So those are kind of our pieces, and that's, hopefully they'll give you an idea how we use this map to kind of be like, okay, this is your CRM functionality piece, okay? Dan, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you, and you can either log out and go into a new corporation, or you can play where we're at. Okay. Right now, my homepage is currently set as the classic. If you want it separate, just go up to the chooser and flip it to the CRM homepage. Okay.
I just log out and then log in.
Perfect. Here we go. You're up then.
first I just want to say I was using this in a business, and I wasn't using any of the accounting functions or tying it to inventory, or although the business I was in had all that, but they had their own POS system, which was a nightmare in itself. But they could not provide me with any kind of contact or customer past history when I went to work for them, and so I just thought it was kind of silly that. So that's why I started getting into this and started using Adilas for that. It was strictly to track customers and track when I was seeing them, what I said to them, whenever I would submit a bid to them, because it wasn't going through the accounting end of this. I was kind of had to use the system in a different way, but I think what it does is it shows that you can take the system and manipulate it to do pretty much whatever you want to do. So I think that's kind of what I got out of it. So I'm just going to log in under the.
Should we come with you on this, or what?
No.
I think it'd be.
Yeah,
I don't have a
let's
whole
let
lot to
Danny
show
do this
you.
one.
I just was going to show you how I kind of used the CRM portion of it, and it wasn't really a quote CRM module. It kind of developed out of some of the things that I came to these guys and said, hey, so this is the little homepage that they made for me, because these are the things that I was using the most. So what I was wanting to do was I would go out, my business, I would go out, see a customer, say an apartment complex, because I was selling them golf carts, go in, talk to the person, and then I would want to be able to come out and make notes on that person right then. So I'd usually get a business card, go right back out to my car, I used an iPad, and then I'd go right into this, and I could type all my notes in, and then move on to the next customer. So it allowed me to kind of
Everything's fresh.
fresh, yeah, as
fresh.
opposed to doing it every
Real
day
time, yeah.
and then coming back at the end of the day, because at the end of the day I might talk to 20 people and I didn't know who I said what to. So it was just a really good way, number one, for me to know what was going on with my customers, and then the best part was it was a way for me to report back to my manager and say, here's what I did today, and then my manager at any time could log in and see where I was and what I was doing. And so it was kind of a dual. It was a real good tool for me, but it was a great tool for my manager. He didn't use it very much, but it was there and available for him if he'd have wanted to. And one more thing real quick, because I'm sales-based, to me, a company, when you go to resell a company, other than inventory, what you're selling is your customer base, basically. So if you've got good records on your customer base and you've got good contact information, when you go to resell a company, that has a lot more value to it than just selling a company name, because anybody can go out and start a new company and put a name on it. It's the client base. So to me, it was really important to get really detailed records on who I was seeing, kind of my real estate deal, I guess. So I'm just going to go to my customer homepage. This is the way I would. This is just a quick link for me to input a customer. And then I just want to search them all. I'm just going to kind of, whoops.
If you want all, just go up to the top.
That's the one I needed right there, right?
Yeah. No, just go ahead and select all. It's just asking for a little bit more information. Scroll up just a little bit. There's even a link.
Oh, right
Yeah.
here. So your button here is there we go. So these were all the customers that I had in there. And if you go to the log, let's just say this one here. This has all the information. One thing that I did, I think Brandon mentioned this yesterday, is where it had tax ID number. I changed that because that's a field that you can change out. Instead of calling it tax ID, I called it contact name, because I didn't want to use the flex grid. I didn't need tax ID number, so I just named it contact name. And then that way it was real easy. If I knew a guy's name was Ryan, but I didn't know where he worked or how I had it in the system, I could search Ryan, or I could search the business or whatever. So that was just my way of doing that.
So he was below the customer name, business name.
Correct. Yeah. So the way it would show up is because you don't want to put in business name and then a person's name below it. Correct? Am I right there?
Ideally, what you would want to do is business ABC, and then if they have multiple contacts, think in one-to-many, okay? Instead of putting Brian right there underneath him as the first last name, you would say business ABC, whatever it is, that's a standalone entity, and then I can have Ryan and Jenny and Fred and Sally. Like that's a one-to-many relationship, but technically we would actually recommend that you add that under your additional contacts, which you can still assign to an invoice if you needed to, but it breaks it into a one-to-many relationship rather than trying to be like, oh, crud, what do I put here? Like, leave the business entity as it is. That's how I would recommend it.
Yeah. But I was just using a quick and dirty version of this so that it was real easy for me. And I usually have one contact person, and so I wanted to be able to pull that information up. And plus I was providing this information to people who knew nothing about Adilas. So when I was giving reports, it had to be real simple reports so that they understood what I was providing them. So, basically your contact, your normal contact information. Some of the things that I added to was I created a, let's see where it's, up here where it says customer type. Where would I, that's not something.
So go to your customer homepage, scroll up to the top. You have to have an admin permission for this. Go to customer homepage.
Customer page, where's that at?
Do a new customer search right down from your mouse, just a little bit.
There you go.
Right there. Click there.
That's quote homepage.
That's right there.
Oh, new customer search.
And then go right here, manage customer types.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. So what I did was I classified my customers so that I would, like if I wanted to go out and hit nothing but apartment complexes, then I could download a report that says give me all the apartment. Or if I wanted to target a mail piece or an email piece to a certain, so that's just the way I set them up. So pretty simple, but the thing the way I tied it together as far as using elements of time was I took elements of time and I set up, every time I would make a quote to somebody, I used elements of time to say, was it a quote, was it a bid, and then I would track that bid. If I didn't hear something back from them in like 15 days, then the system would cue me to make kind of like a follow-up or a tickler type system. So I really changed things around a lot, but it was just a way for me to, I think the main thing for you guys to know is that you can take it and do it however you want to do it, but to me it's a really important part of this, of whatever you're working with, is that you get good information on the customers. So when I see somebody just pass by a customer and not like, even when you're up here giving examples and you're like, oh, we don't need that information, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, please don't do what I do. I'm sorry.
You gotta get that information.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's buying something from you, you want to stay in contact. I don't care, because the system is limitless. So you want to stay. In my opinion, you want to stay. You want to get names and email addresses. And, maybe sometimes that's impossible and people won't give that to you, but that's really important stuff when you go to resell a business. People pay a lot of money to get people to fish for email addresses and and create email addresses. Yeah. So that's basically it. Without, I don't know if you want me to get into the elements of time, because we really hadn't even talked about elements of time, so I don't know if that's something that's even.
Can you actually show them, if you're okay with it, like some of the ones that you actually added some logs to and stuff?
Yeah.
Like even do a quick search for one of the customers that you know that's in there or something.
Yeah. So this was the Botanic Gardens, was one of my accounts that was a really good account. So this is Botanic Gardens. So every time I would go in there and talk to these people, I would come out, and one of the other things too, you see where it says type, I would and this is a default to the system. And I mean, this is not something I set up. I'm trying to remember some of this stuff. But so you could tell it whether it was a in-person visit or whether it was a just I made a note on it, or if I had called them.
Go ahead and click on Add New Log Entry. That little link. Kind of middle, right in the middle, the Add New Log Entry. I know I'm kind of putting you right on the there. Scroll down just a little bit. Click on that guy. I just wanted to show you the different entries that you could make. So this is super simple page, but go ahead and select
this is because this is what I would do when I come out to the car. I would do something like, okay, was it in person? And so it logs obviously the time, you know. And then here you could set a follow-up time. So if I needed to follow up with him, then I would say, you know, whatever date it was. And you do have to, if you fill these things in, then you do have to put something in follow-up notes, isn't it?
You do, yeah. So one thing I want to kind of point out, and this is teeny, but you see that log date and then the follow-up date? What that virtually does is it takes those entries and it files them in a virtual system so that they will then show up on that date. What did I log today? Oh, I logged this. What are my follow-ups for by the time you get to 8/1, or if you wanted to look out a little ways? Guess what? It's going to fall into that category because you're virtually logging stuff. Even though you're not really going to a file cabinet, in the background we're like, aha, got the date, thank you, that's all I wanted. Like we're catching those dates. It's very important.
Yeah, and then if you don't want to follow up, you could just hit the little no button, and then you don't even have to fill that bottom part out. But ticklers were, because my memory isn't all that great, so ticklers were a real big part to me to trigger me to go to do things that I needed to do.
So if you scroll down, you can actually see the new little log that we added. Stop by to see Devin. Okay.
And then out to the side there, see it says I need to follow up on 8/1, and it tells me what I need to follow up with him about. So to me, elements of time was a really important piece to all of this because it was a, let me just real quick, I'll go there.
Quick question.
Yep.
You had mentioned, and it's probably for Brandon, that you were outside of the apartment complex typing in these notes. You must have an internet connection, or is there any offline features you can use on this and to be?
It's online.
Okay.
But I had an iPad that was
3G or 4G.
Yeah,
okay.
So it was perfect for that because most of the time I was places where I didn't have internet connection, and you can't do that. And you can't do that on any other POS system. Maybe there are some out there, but that work that are iPad friendly, but usually it's one or the other that the ones that I found. And again, going back to that thing that's really important to me is it loaded really fast because there's not a huge amount of graphics. So the 3G wasn't requiring a lot of data transfer.
Just text and stuff. Yeah. So that makes it, well, I kind of answered my question. I think if I'm going to be traveling a lot, I probably need 3G on my tablet.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a must if you're going to be.
Well, if that's your business, okay, you have to realize, like, we have people who are, hey, I have a home office. I work from home. I've got everything hardwired in, and like it's not mobile at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have a laptop, and then we have other businesses who have standalone retails. You have other people who are salespeople, and they're mobile. Or what if you had a fleet of trucks, and you have these people out at somebody's house? Like, your business will depend on what you need, and then you just get to play accordingly.
So this is how I do it. I turned a jetpack around with me.
Your hotspot.
Yeah. So, or I can use my phone, but I don't know. This is nice.
And you got a keyboard in front of you instead of the phone. Although I suppose you get a wireless keyboard for your phone.
It's actually still a tablet, so it's still. But I got this because I like to sit down at a desk and type. But usually when I'm in the car, just like you would be, pounding
It's
away on
65 miles an hour.
Sometimes. Sometimes, actually, it's scary. 'Cause you're like, oh, you're on the way to an appointment, you're running late, and you're like,
That's
I
what
hate to admit it.
You know what I downloaded is voice dictation actually.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can just hit the dictation button, and then it will, you could, you know, talk your notes and it will dictate and copy and paste it into your journal.
Yeah, just one last thing too, the elements of time, these are the little categories that I set up. So, and the really cool thing about this particular one was opportunity. So any quote I made, I listed it as an opportunity first. And then, because this always happened once a week or once a month, my manager would say, okay, what have you got in the pipeline? I could pull up my opportunities and rate them, and he could say, oh, so you've got 10 opportunities listed right now, and 5 of those have a 70% chance of closing. And so it gave him a really good picture of what which may or may not be a big deal to you guys, but at any type of business, if you're managing salespeople, you want to know what they've got going on and what the potential of that stuff closing, particularly if you're trying to manage inventory. You know, because for these guys, they wanted to know, do we need to get some more golf carts in inventory, or are we okay? So, anyway.
Awesome.
Mm.
Good call, David.
Golf cart clap there.
Golf cart class, right.